Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Money with Alpha. Today, I wanted to talk about something that it's come up quite a bit in conversation lately, and that's the concept of keeping more. And then comes, well, what does more mean? And how do you create the capacity around holding that more? So we think of, so there's a few concepts that are kind of all like buried in there, but they're all connected. And I suppose there's even like you hear the concept of abundance as well. And capacity and abundance are sort of two sides essentially of the same coin. So what abundance is like what you're experience, like what can you attract? How do you feel? How do you come at things? Are you coming at it from a lack sort of perspective or from an abundance energy? And then the next sort of step, because it's very easy to just go, oh, I have my affirmations and I live an abundantly wonderful life, and yet on the inside you're miserable, and you're sort of just going, well, where's my purpose? Like, what's happening? Why is my life doing what it's doing? I have all these great thoughts, and I'm living a good life, and I'm a kind person, and all these things, we're just not quite getting where we want to go. And and quite often that's because of how we perceive and what our actual capacity is to hold more. So, I mean, I'm going to be talking specifically about money, but the principles, they relate to other areas of our life. They relate to our health. They relate to, the relationships that we have. Like, do we have the capacity for deeper relationships and, improving them? And that often starts with ourselves and how full our own cups are. And that's something I've had to really work on over the last sort of, to be honest, most of this year. And I kind of only feel like now the light bulb is really starting to burn, not just sort of flicker on and off a bit. And we all know that concept of, and if I hear the word self-care one more time, I'm probably going to throw something at that person or just like walk away because I actually don't like throwing anything at anybody. Because it's so easy to say, oh, self-care. I mean, I went and got a massage yesterday, and that's just part of my monthly maintenance. And it's painful. I walk away, I'm like, oh, yeah, I feel that. And even during, it's acupuncture first, and sometimes he puts the needle in and twists it. And they're just going, oh, yep, I feel that one. And then it subsides. So it's that sort of, part of the process. But I've built these things into my world where it's just part of, some people call it self-care, but then there's other things like time, the capacity to have more. It's like, I mean, we've all got the 24 hours in a day, but all our 24 hours are different depending on what stage of life you're in. Like if you're a parent who does drop off and pick up to school, you will understand when I say the school day feels very, very short. By the time you get them there and you sort of settle in with all of the other housework. Like even today, I dropped my daughter off at school, even though she was meant to be in a carpool, but that didn't work out this week, or sorry, today. And so I ended up going, okay, well, I'll put the washing on and then I was meant to speak at something that didn't end up happening. So I ended up with a bit of time. So I could actually take her to school. But then, of course, I'm like, okay, well, I'll do a load of washing. I'll do the sheets. It's a nice sunny day. I'll go to the supermarket and get the stuff today, so I don't have to do it on Saturday, and did all these things. And the next thing I know, I sit down. It's like 10:30 before I actually really get to do anything. And then I've got like 4 hours before I have to leave again to go do school pickup. So one of the things I'm working on is that capacity for more time. Because if I have time, I'll just fill it. So I need to create a container of time where I'm actually going to put boundaries around it not being filled. And that's something that I have to work on in the time space. When it comes to money, this is something that I've been working on over years, and I work on it with my clients. So I see it working for them, it works for me. You need to build, and I'm going to actually use props for this because even though if you're listening to this, I will explain it, but if you're watching, you'll understand. Um, the containers of your money. So I've got here two Tupperware containers because I'm old school. I loved my Tupperware. I miss Tupperware. Anyway, that's for another day. And I have two containers, and I don't even know what the sizes are. Here we go. One's 2.3 liters, and the other one, turn it around the right way, I can read it, is 1.7. So we have a 1.7 liter container and a 2.3 liter container. If I gave you the 1.7 liter container, you'd fill that, whether it's time and things to do and tasks, etc. With bills or money or anything, if you had money, if I said to you, fill this container, you'd fill that container. What if your lifestyle and the way you want the bigger container? What then? If you don't have the structures or the knowledge or the understanding of what it would take to fill and hold that container so that there are no leaks that come out of it, that takes a little bit more thought and planning and clarity. So and it's a little bit like if you want to go from A to B and you can't get there without some sort of vehicle. So you need to get the vehicle before you can actually go on the journey. Now that makes perfect sense. But when it comes to things like money, we don't think about the fact that we need to set up our system and our kind of process to be able to have and hold more money. We just see a ceiling and go, well, that's my ceiling. And then the beliefs kick in and go, well, I can't go beyond that. I've had clients over the years who are like, oh, I can't seem to break over I can't get into the six-figure mark, whether it, is in salaried or even in business revenue. And that's because there's this constraint around, well, even if I got more, what would I do with it? I've proven to myself I'm not good with money. So would having more money would just make me feel even worse because I'm not going to be able to hold it and keep it. So we've kind of our subconscious has talked us out of having more money and being able to keep more. So it's important to recognize when those sorts of thoughts and challenge yourself. Like I'd sit with that, what I've just said, and go, if I had more, could I hold it? Do I even in my body feel comfortable having that amount of money? If I see money in the bank, do I need to have that amount there to feel safe? Because again, I've had clients who are like, I just want to have this cash sitting there. And I was like, yes, but you could do so much more with that than just having it sit in the bank. And then others who are like, oh, if I have money there, I'll spend it. So I can't have money in the bank because I'll spend it. I was like, okay, but then you do realize you need to have money in order to grow wealth. And like, yes, but I don't want to have money because I don't know. I'm scared of having money. So when you kind of go down and down the layers a little bit. I was even having a conversation with somebody earlier this week, and they're about to sell their business. And they're literally scared of the money that they're going to receive because they don't want to blow it. They don't want to just spend it or have it just disappear without any real. And I was like, that's why you need to set up your system. You need to build your plane, build your container, build whatever it is that you need, your structures and your systems to support having more money so that you can attract more because when more comes to you, you'll know exactly what to do with it because you've done you've built the plane, you've built the system, you've built the structure to be able to do that. So it's a little bit like, I was listening to another podcast last week, which was, jump and the net will appear. I was like, yeah, that's slightly more that takes a little bit more faith. So all I'm talking about here is just gain the clarity, build the system, create the structure for having more money so that you can earn it and feel safe about earning it, that you can hold it and that you'll know what to do with it. And I'm going to sort of talk a little bit about gender stereotypes here because it is a very woman thing to say that we're afraid of wasting it or afraid of losing it. And that often gets sort of turned around. It's like, oh, that's why we're not good investors. I was like, that is absolute rubbish because statistics show that because we have a certain degree of thought and caution around what we do, we are actually better investors and less emotional, ironically enough, generally speaking, because we've put so much thought into it before we've done it that we've made ourselves we've almost like talked our emotions away to the point where we're just going to like we'll just do the thing and we're just going to do the same thing. It's a little bit like, with investing, my strategy is buy and hold. I just keep buying, just keep buying. And then over time I just like see it grow and I'm like, oh, this is really good. I'm just going to keep doing that. And so my container keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it was tested a bit last year when I did get some inheritance when my father died. And I was like, I have to admit, I was feeling a bit scared because I was like, what if, I mean, I've been managing his money for 7 years, but I was managing it for him. That was a very different sort of prospect. I was like, well, So I did a lot of research. I went to seminars. I got educated on things that I hadn't fully understood before. And some things I was doing, I understood better. And then I went back to my system. I laid it all out and I had a plan and I sat with it. I didn't jump straight into anything because there was also emotions and grief and all of that going on as well. And all the arrangements and all the paperwork and all of the admin that goes with someone passing that, oh my goodness, it's a lot to deal with all at once. So then having to deal with the money side as well. So I did put it into sort of an account that was just earning interest to start with before I started to do other things with it. And I had some other plans for it, which the federal budget's rules changed. So now I just make some adjustments to what that is. And I'm now looking at something else that I want to become a bit more educated on that I don't know enough about yet, because I haven't really explored it at all. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to keep more money and more of the money that you're making so that you can make more to keep then more and to grow it more. Because it's not just about making it and holding on to it. It's also about growing because money is energy. And if we just hang on to it, it will find some other purpose so that it can keep moving because it doesn't want to stay stagnant. It wants to move and flow just like energy does. So you need to understand what your capacity is right now, the capacity that you want to have to receive and to hold money, and then what kind of structure you need to build now in order to do that before you're actually experiencing it. And that's not to say you go and buy something. You literally can just set up, like create a plan, set up a system to use that when you have it, it just then applies to the system, which is what, again, I do. I literally have a very simple system, which is, the money pie framework, which is kind of that bridge between your cash flow and your wealth that helps create that clarity. And it just flows through the cash flow comes in, it flows through the money pie and it goes it goes out there in the directions it's meant to go. And then the wealth starts to grow and build. And it's so relaxing and calm to know that the more that comes in, the more that just goes into each of those streams that I've set up, those pie slices. And then the actual implementation of those, they don't just like literally sit in a pie. Um, but it's just, yeah, it just becomes calm. So when I talk to people and I'm like, oh, I just do this, and they're like, just? It's like, but it's become so simple and so easy. And that capacity to grow and build so that when, things happen like this year, other unexpected things have happened and, money's come in and I'll be like, oh, that's cool. I'm just going to put it through my system. And that doesn't mean I don't review that. I review it quite regularly, usually once a year at a minimum, and sometimes I'll need to adjust. Like for instance, last year, the beginning of last year, I had no idea of what the year was going to bring, and obviously that brought quite a few things that changed. So I had to reassess in the middle of the year. This year, a few other things have happened that I have not predicted. So again, just do some little tweaks and adjustments, but the structure's there. So the container is there, ready to hold and keep more and to grow more. So I hope that sparks some thinking on a deeper level for you, not just the cerebral kind of words and but actually how it's feeling in your body. How you would feel if you got more money. Would you feel safe or would you feel scared? And would you feel sort of confident or would it create stress and overwhelm? So just by testing some of those questions with you and the response, not just what comes in your mind straight up, but how does your body feel? Do you tense up? Do you suddenly feel flushed? They're usually indications that your body is responding in a way that's like, oh, there's something unsafe happening. Whereas if you just feel calm and you're just like, yeah, okay, then you're on the path, and whatever that path and structure is for you. But if you're feeling frazzled and overwhelmed and things just feel messy, then please reach out. I have a free clarity chat available and we can talk through it. And sometimes it might just be a few little tweaks here and there that you need to make. And sometimes you just need to talk about it. And that's how I sort of ended up starting doing what I'm doing, is because I was just sharing some information that I'd learned on my own journey. And I had someone ask me to, for what was essentially, I didn't realize that she asked me for dinner. It was a lady that I'd known many, many years ago. And then she wanted to pay me for it. I was like, okay. I thought we were just having a chat and you were just sort of telling me what you're doing, and I was giving you some feedback based on my experience and what I'd learned. And essentially, she was on the path. And that's why I was like, well, I don't feel like I did anything, but she needed somebody to at least bounce that off. So I offer that now just as a free chat because, sometimes you just need to hear it out loud as well. So think about your capacity to keep and hold and grow your money and where you're at and what you need to set up to help you evolve and grow into your next phase of your money life. I will leave you with that very contemplative episode to ruminate over, and I will catch you in next week's episode. Have a lovely week.